it's Dan Lorenz with High Country Land Management out here on Audubon's Kiowa Creek Ranch. I'm out here with Dave with Bird Conservancy of the Rockies and NRCS. And we're talking about forestry, and I just wanted to walk everybody through kind of the process that happened for me when I first got in touch with Dave. Wanted to do the right thing for the ecology, wanted to find out what we needed to do the right thing for our forest, and he hit me back with fire and logging. And so we went immediately to walking around in our forest, and I'll just kind of pan real quick. You can see a lot of these trees have blue marks on them. So we've just gone through with heavy logging equipment and took out like 75% of these trees. And to start with, I had a really hard time going around with Dave with my spray paint can, and I was a little hesitant about taking that many trees. But what I realized right afterwards was, like, immediately, like the following week, the ecology was like tenfold. Amount of wildlife and birds that moved in after we cut these trees dramatically increased. And so I kind of stole the whole thing. Dave, tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, this is a recently completed treatment. This was completed last year, and you can see how great it looks already. As he said, there was a drastic reduction in the number of trees in here. But the way that we do work these days in forest restoration is we read the land. So one thing I like to point out is how really natural it looks in here. With the trees are kind of scattered in clumps in some places. We have some snags, some standing dead trees. We have a little bit of wood on the ground still, and it's not this very clean, like corn row type of treatment. It's really natural looking, and personally I think it looks fantastic in here. And you know, Dan says it better than anyone else can, being out here on the land every day, how much more wildlife is using this area now.
Yeah, cool. So one of the things, just before we let you go, is behind me, this is one of the things that's really been a good learning experience, is a tree that we intentionally left. As landowners, a lot of times we would have probably immediately cut that down for firewood, or we thought it would fall on an animal. So just tell us a little bit why we left that big dead tree, Dave.
Yeah, so standing dead trees, we call them snags. And in the American West, there are about 70 species of wildlife that use snags. One of the best uses they have are for cavity nesting species. So many birds need to nest in a cavity. That's why we make nest boxes and bird houses, and in these dead snags, that's where those cavities are made. So a woodpecker will come through and create a cavity, and birds will excavate these cavities and then nest in them. And even bats will roost in snags sometimes. So the benefits go really far and wide. And since we don't have fire on the landscape now, and we don't have as many large trees on the landscape now, we don't have as many large snags as there were historically. So all these wildlife species adapted to having these snags where they could stick a nest, and that's missing in a lot of places now. So when we do these treatments, one thing we always push for is to leave some of these snags in, maybe even create some of them sometimes, because they have a huge wildlife benefit.
Cool, good stuff. We'll see you next time.